Good Sunday to you, Fatheree.
Good Sunday to you,
Are
Sohel.
you ready to walk down the path and unpack the impossible box?
Sure. Yeah, let's go walk down this really like windy little path and see if we get closer to the truth.
Exactly. You have to start with your eyes closed, though, and that's why we don't have our visage audience. Welcome,
I'm
welcome,
actually gonna
welcome.
watch this entire episode with my eyes closed.
What do you remember about this episode from it airing? Like, how did you feel about it when it came out?
That's funny. I have very distinct memories about this because it was the first and so far only time I did not appear on the Text Trek podcast. I was operating from behind the scenes, but Brian and Dave did the show on YouTube, and then the podcast that that we've released the audio of that. Without me, I was organizing it. I kind of directed them through the notes that I had, but I set it out because at the time I was really sick with a mystery illness that, looking back now, was probably COVID
Oh, wow.
in early 2020.
Yeah, this is around the time it was kind of, yeah, it was
It hadn't
popping
at the
up,
time
right?
it
Yeah.
hadn't been confirmed in Austin, Texas, but
Mm-hmm.
the later they said, like, oh yeah, it's actually been here since January. And then I found out someone who I'd been hanging out with like a week before that, their entire family had gotten real sick, and it was COVID. They had the COVID antibodies, so that's
Wow,
probably that's
that's
probably what I
heavy.
had.
Right on. I'm glad you. That was a scary time. No vaccine, so I'm glad you made
Well,
it
we
through
also
that.
didn't, like, Dave even makes a joke, like, I don't think it's the coronavirus, but who knows? Because, like, we didn't know it was over here. Everyone thought it was still just like in China.
It's funny. It's funny you should say that. I went back just to see. I did when Picard was airing. I did two discussions. One like on the day it aired, and then another one like on the weekend. I was so obsessed. And in the one on the first discussion, the reaction discussion, we were talking about it too. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that it's been 2 years also since then.
Yeah, but I remember liking this episode. It was Michael Chabon doing what I love that he would do when he would use so much of the universe and the continuity and actually embraces canon where some writers kind of resist it. He thinks it's such a advantageous thing to have as a Star Trek writer because you can pull all these different ideas, like
Uh,
with little Romulan radiation deployment weapons, or with Delta Quadrant technology that can send you 40,000 light
Right.
years.
Right. No, exactly. And not just that, the Borg themselves, like he gives us a whole new perspective on them. I mean, I think
Oh
that
yeah, yeah.
the
Patrick Stewart, not Patrick Stewart, but John Luke's history with the Borg on full
yep.
display here.
Yep. I think we have a little bit of an audience forming, so we won't delay them any
We
further. Do you
won't
think
dilly
you're?
dally.
Yeah, we won't dilly dally. That great reflection though, Father. Thanks for sharing that. So here we go. So the way it works is you queue up your copy. Hey, Cake, nice to see you. You queue up your copy of Star Trek Picard, whether you're watching it on TV, DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming. And we'll count down from five. And when we say engage, you can press play. So here we go. Five, four, three, two, one. Engage. All right. Previously on Star Trek Picard.
I do
um,
miss the old days when all the recaps were Majel Barrett.
yeah, that was
Last
nice.
time on Star Trek Voyager.
A lot of folks are remembering that there's a technology. Supposedly, Majel Barrett said enough things on screen that there's a technology that can kind of mimic her voice. I think that's what they're using a little bit with Luke, like that kind of thing on the other Star franchise. Uh,
Yeah, I don't
so
know.
so if that's something that they could use, I'd be all for it. I don't know what the stance is officially
I
on the
mean,
Star
it's
Trek side,
largely
but
probably down to money. It'd be really expensive to do that, and like, is it really worth it for something that 90% of the people watching the show won't even notice.
Right.
Just us hardcore fans. But I think it would be cool. Yeah, I'd be all down for it. Whereas like making Luke sound like Luke is a lot more important.
Yeah. Here's the dream sequence. We see uh, a young Soji.
The there were certain stipulations Patrick Stewart had in order to come back to play Jean-Luc Picard again and to be in Star Trek Picard. Uh, I think they violated all of them. But there were three things I think that he asked, and one of them was no dreams.
Oh,
Another one
really?
was no uniforms.
Yeah, I
And
heard. I remember that one. I remember him saying too that he ended up having to acquiesce himself. Like it wasn't a big deal. Like it felt right to him, and he was like, "So I broke that."
yeah,
I
he
think he broke
loosened
that
up
rule. Yeah, he loosened up
when
that
he
rule.
started having fun, on the show.
It's true. One forgets that this show, part of, I know that the show was kind of like pivoting a lot, or maybe the impression is from what I saw Kiva Goldsman say is that like the plan was more fluid than most people imagined, and that makes sense because if someone comes in, your main character comes back, your main actor comes back and has all these stipulations, you're like, yes, let's go, but then they're having fun like you said, and so you might change that, and that opens your world up, and so you can add great new things into it, which is great.
I mean, like in the first episode, we see Picard having a dream where he's in
Yeah.
uniform, so
Yeah. So that's
they're breaking that pretty quickly.
the other rule I remember, Michael
Was it no
Chabon talking
time
about.
travel?
No, I think it was, well, the one that I heard was like not to redo things the same. Like if you're gonna bring something back, like make it brand new. And I feel like they did stick to that in a way, especially in this episode. I think like I recall I recall it was like a kind of like a revelation. I don't think it was for me. I mean, I definitely think Star Trek was starting to go in this direction, but it was a revelation to see the Borg as victims, right? Like, instead of the enemy, and that kind of changes the.
Well, I think
the way you see
for
them.
Picard to
Yeah.
see it that way. I mean, that's
Yeah.
definitely not the headspace he's in Star Trek First Contact. There's a whole
Yeah.
2-hour movie about that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess that movie might have been like the first step of his major healing he still had left after Best of Both Worlds. Like there, he learns not to be vengeful and obsessed, with hating the Borg and killing the Borg, and then here he learns to be sympathetic to them.
Yeah. And to see them for what they are, which is victims. And I agree with that take on the Borg. I actually watched I, Borg before getting together with you today because I was just like so inspired. Seeing Hugh again is like, we've seen him already, but like in this episode is he really shines. So here we have Narek continuing to crack at Soji. I like that little moment. We didn't talk about it much because we were talking about other stuff, but I like that little moment where he's teasing at her not knowing his real name, like he's
Yeah.
like that was like a
And then we get the
cool
real
thing.
name later, but they had established prior to this that Romulans have a secret name. They only tell those near and dear to their heart
Yeah.
a true name. That was stuff that Michael Chabon really had a lot of fun with, I think, and I will always be grateful for was all the contributions he did to fleshing out the Romulan society and Romulan culture within Star Trek Picard Season 1. And he said that, that was very important to him. He looked at what little there was there. In one of the Blu-ray features, he says, it's interesting. I knew everything about the Romulans, but I knew nothing about them because there really isn't much. It's a race that's shown up so much throughout Star Trek. They don't really get into the details like that, like they have with Klingons, Ferengi, the other species, Vulcans, what have you. So he took what little there was there. Cloaking and the Tal Shiar, like they're really into secrets and lying and deceit, and you built the rest of their culture using that information.
I agree. I like this little scene here. Actually, here's a moment
Speaking
where
of
you,
Romulans,
yeah,
with Elnor here.
Elnor here, yeah. But I also like this scene. There's a lot going on between like Elnor learning about Picard's assimilation here. Like I like that, he's just like learning something new about him. Elnor reading Girardi, and he reads her really well later on when he says like you're haunted by something. He can't see that, and he's
He was
like
inbutting.
he was inbutting, and she's like that time I didn't like it.
Yeah, he's still trying to learn how to adjust his absolute candor to day-to-day conversations.
Conversations, yeah. Um, we get a cool little world building thing where Agnes is like, oh yeah, like the Borg. Of course of course they are. The Borg are like part of what cyberneticists study at the Daystrom Institute. It's like their number one thing, because they need to come up with like anti-Borg technology, I'm sure, and stuff like that. There's a lot of reasons for that. So that was cool to just hear it on screen. And then also just now Jean-Luc's outburst there, his anger, and I like this.
Yeah,
whole
he's almost
thing,
turning back into a first contact ready room, smashing the ships. Picard.
Yeah, yeah. And I also think, to me, that a lot of that is down to I felt like the Irumodic syndrome gets aggravated somehow by emotional responses, and so maybe that's a little bit. It relates to like dementia, which is
Yeah, I mean, you see this with like a lot of
yeah,
like older people. They,
yeah,
they get impatient. They get like a little bit. It's kind of like how like little kids are more emotional. You see that with the
with
older
older
folk
folks
as well.
too. Yeah. We got a bunch of comments here. It's not a revelation at all. Why was he sobbing in Family if he didn't feel like a victim? Listen to what he says when he cries. Listen to what Guinan says in Iborg. No, I'm saying it's not a revelation to us because of what we've seen, but I genuinely feel like Jean-Luc forgot that he was not the only victim. Like I definitely felt like he was a victim of the Borg. We felt like he was, the audience,
Yeah, he's still
and stuff
mad
like
at
that.
the other at the
Yeah,
Borg,
but
like
he doesn't.
at the collective.
And it's not like a bad thing. It's just surprising that he never saw them as that until now. We actually get that in this episode. And again, you could chalk it up to the Aromatic syndrome maybe a little bit, but I don't. I think it's definitely a realization to him that he hadn't. It
There's
had
Deep
dawned
Space
on
Nine
him.
footage.
Yeah,
We finally see some Deep Space Nine in HD in canonical Star Trek.
I love this shot right here.
It's really beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's freaky.
it is. The music, punctuates it, and it's just sad. Like he's touching his face, like he's remembering the implants. Like, uh, here we go. We have a question. Agnes, murderer or victim? I say victim.
Yes, I say victim. I don't want to be held responsible for what I do if I'm assaulted by a mind meld from a half Romulan.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
She was like Maturian candidated. It's like when Geordi tried to attempt murder on the Klingon in Star Trek: The
Oh
Next
yeah.
Generation, also because of Romulan shenanigans.
That's right. Those Romulans, man. Jill says, I think Stewart's best performance in this series is in this episode. I feel his fear, his being off center very deeply. Yeah, he does such a great job when we meet Hugh later on. You're right. Cake is Eternal says, who actually are the original Borg aside from the Queen? Have we seen any others that were not assimilated? I don't know that as far as I know, there may be some stuff in the novels and stuff, but on screen we still don't know about like where the Borg originated. Now I haven't finished Voyager, so maybe that's addressed in Voyager.
We don't know the origin of the Borg. We
Okay.
just know that there's some parts of the Delta Quadrant they've occupied for 800 years, so they've been around for a while. I don't know if we ever need that explained. I think a lot of people kind of always preferred the Borg to be even more mysterious and might argue that we've learned too much about them. A lot of people think that V'ger in the motion picture, maybe that's like the Borg went from machines
Right.
to being like part machine, part living organic being. I don't know. I think that's kind of cool, but Star Trek seems to ignore the motion picture more often than not, so I doubt that'll ever be canonicized.
Who knows? One never knows. With motion picture getting more attention, it may inspire future writers to do something. But yeah, I feel like there's some. If you read Vendetta, Cake, I think there's a lot of good Borg stuff. Not their origin necessarily, but like that kind of
Beta
vibe as well.
Quadrant,
Yeah.
former neutral zone.
Here we have Santiago Cabrera without a shirt playing soccer with himself.
Yes.
Drinking alcohol too. I don't know how healthy that is.
Santiago Cabrera is a big soccer enthusiast in real life.
Yeah, so those are his real moves. No stunt person, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's cool. I wonder if that wound is real or if they put that on his character, like
I'm sure that's makeup. Just like that tattoo. I doubt that's his real tattoo.
Oh yeah, and he likes
mermaid.
to keep his wounds, right? He didn't let the doctor dermal regenerate his scar.
Yeah.
That's right. So he wants to keep his scars.
Yeah,
That's
scars
interesting.
make you look cool, right?
I don't know
Make you
about
look
that.
tough.
This was a little. I don't know if I accept this.
What don't you accept?
Like she must be so manic right now. She's just like gone from murdering to like I guess that can happen. You go from murdering to lovemaking, you know? It's just
Oh yeah, I mean I don't think it's
yeah,
lovemaking.
like,
That's not the word I would use, but
yeah, I guess yeah.
she just needed like a hot distraction from
She
what
needed
was
a
on her mind.
hot
Yeah, like,
distraction.
I think people might use sex for that as a distraction.
It certainly would fulfill that. It certainly helps. It does do that at times. It does serve that purpose. So yeah, I could see why. And she is talking about making mistakes. Girardi's a complex character because I think I feel like there's a suggestion that she might even have some father issues going on when she's like, you know, she's dating these older guys, I guess, or she's interested in these older guys. She compared him to her father, and I think it was like the last episode when she was talking about like the book.
She said her dad liked to read paper
Yeah,
books also.
that's right. That's right.
But
And I mean, Bruce Maddox certainly looked older, like
yeah,
a dad,
that's true.
You know, so Santiago's a little more age appropriate, if there's such a thing. Oh, Cake's got some stuff to say. I feel like Agnes had other choices I haven't forgiven her yet. Anyways, yeah, a lot of people have a tough time with Girardi.
Yeah.
In my experience, like I think Trek on the Tube. Shout out to Trek on the Tube. He can't forgive her. It's like he's on the murder camp.
I don't. That's so insane to me. I see so many characters do so much worse stuff without anywhere near as good of excuses, and it's just like totally like forgiven by the fandom, and then here, but I don't know. I mean, everyone's entitled to hold dumb grudges, I guess. So,
Cake's asking. So Picard is angry at the victims. Others like him. Yeah. Football, people, football. It's football, not soccer. Sorry, I forgot.
it depends on what country you're in.
As a follow-up, see here, I think Agnes knows what she's doing. She's absolutely trying to forget. I think she knows she's in this like weird state. I think the admonition or whatever influence in whatever way that Commodore or O influenced her, she can't override it, but Agnes is still there. So I think there is a struggle and a fight going on. And that's what to me makes it more sad, is that she can't help herself. She's got this like programming. It's kind of like, you know, like anyone who's been brainwashed. Funny enough, like Father, we were talking, you were like, it's not on the news so much, cults and things like that, but we're seeing it in TV a lot. I feel like cultish type stuff, reprogramming.
It's like trendy for.
Yeah.
I don't really get into this, but a lot of people like they love listening to murder podcasts, and they love listening to like unsolved mystery stuff, and they love like watching like YouTube videos about like cult shit. And I don't know. None of that appeals to me at all, but it's popular. It's trendy. I think some of these TV writers are maybe tapping into that.
Yeah, it could be that. That's true. Here's a scene I like because Narek finally kind of excuse this bad analogy, but grows a pair with his sister, and he presents his plan now, and so that's where I started hating him for a different reason, which is that he is diabolical and cruel in what he's doing to Soji. I was very upset about that, but I love the way he like reveals what he's doing here. Um, but there's that incestuous like kind of talk that these two have. It's very interesting. I'm glad it's not a Romulan norm.
Well, yeah, they made the right call by dropping that. I wish they
Yeah.
had just never done it. Akiva Goldsman, we now know, is who to blame for it if you don't like it. He said that he fought to keep it in and eventually lost the fight.
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Goldsman. Hey, at least you fought the good fight, right? You tried.
I don't know if I'd call it
Um,
a good fight, but
yeah, sorry. At least you fought the fight and you tried. I have no interest in these Romulans, is what Jill's saying. I wish the screen time was used on other things. Well, we do get the exposition of like what he's doing, like the plan. So I feel like you can salvage that if you're not enjoying their dynamic. This episode, I remember being upset by the scene coming up with Raffi a little bit because Jean Luc claps at the end. Do you remember that?
remember what?
Like, do you remember how he claps after Raffi does the whole thing where she loses her friend, basically, like, to get them clearance to go to the artifact? She's really upset because she just lost her friend. She had to lie, like, she had to do, like, kind of not so
Oh,
ethical
Raffi is
things.
like
Yeah, you'll see it in this scene coming up. And then Jean Luc's reaction is to clap. And it's like she kind of like grunts and then stumbles off. She's so drunk. It was just a sad scene to me. It's like, and I didn't like that Jean Luc clapped for her. I think that should have been a moment where he was like, "I'm so sorry what happened, but thank you," like that kind of thing. But I like when TV does that too. I think it was written well. I think Jean Luc it shows Jean Luc not like fully being in touch with what's going on, and later he does later start to see who Rafi really is and stuff like that, so I kind of like it for that. And it is a humorous scene. She's like really good at what she's doing here. She's in bad shape though. I mean, she's like drinking alcohol, she's smoking that snake leaf, like, you know, I've been in a situation like this for recreational purposes, and it's not easy. Like, so if you're depressed and you're like doing that to yourself, it must just enhance that. Also, this is like the first time we're seeing like a another captain or something, like, someone in Starfleet, I think. That's a friend of Rafi's, like not necessarily command. It's like we're assuming she's on a ship, I think, but maybe she's not. Yeah, Jill's pointing it out. JL continues not to do right by Raffi with the clapping. Yeah. I think this episode, Father, you still there? I think we lost Fatheree.
I'm
Uh,
still here.
oh, okay, okay. I think this episode kind of I'm illustrating everyone's like vulnerabilities. Cake is Eternal is saying, Laris should have been on the ship with Picard. Jabon could have handled the grapes. They don't they don't fight back. I think we're gonna see a lot more of Laris in or Laris. Is it Laris or Laris in season 2 Cake?
Yeah, there might even be some romance between Picard and Laris based on some of the promotional material they've released. Which I could totally see that being a thing that Patrick Stewart asked for, because as we all know, well, maybe we don't all know, but during the Next Generation, there was a certain point in time when he told the writers, like, "Hey, I really want the character to get some action. I really
Yeah.
need a story where Captain Picard gets laid," and that's why we got Captain's Holiday with where where he meets the character Vash.
Ash, yeah. Father and audience, just so you know, we're at 21 minutes, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So just in case anyone's behind. So that was the scene. So yeah, it's like, it's kind of a bummer, but Jean-Luc's like, good job, Rafi. I got my clearance. I mean, he is right. He's thinking big picture, of course. Like he needs to get to Soji, but yeah, it's a little sad to me how he clapped her out like that. 21 minutes or 22. Hold on, sorry. 22, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we're at 22, 17, 18, 19. Hopefully that helps you realign. I really like Narek's outfit in this this like leather coat. It looks very Blade Runner-ish to me. But it's also like the biggest coat he's worn so far, and it feels like appropriate that he's wearing his biggest outfit. Like he looks kind of like, almost a little bit like Shinzon with the shoulder pads and the shiny stuff, and I don't know, a little muted Shinzon, of course. I liked his Shinzon had the Marty McFly hat pattern on his uniform, which I really like. That like laser thing. So JL doesn't even know she has a son. Neither did her friend Rios. I hope we find out more about how they all kind of how she got to know Rios. Uh,
They either met during Starfleet or met after that. I had always suspected maybe he's the guy who was like delivering snake leaf to her if it's illegal on Earth.
yeah,
Maybe she needed like this smuggler dude, but
that makes sense.
so hell, what would you think if I told you all of a sudden if I told you so hell I have a son?
I'd be like, wow.
It'd be weird if
It'd be weird,
if
yeah.
a friend just dropped that on you, but I believe it. I think it's people who have these complicated family histories, they don't like to talk about them.
I think yeah, more and more the surprise like family member is not really a surprise. It's just characters just don't talk about him. I mean, I don't go around telling everyone about every single member of my family. Like, you know, I've never talked about my daughter to anyone. No, oh my gosh, sorry, bad joke. I also like though if you were drunk out of your mind and telling me, I'd handle it just like Rios did. I think this is a really good
I
scene.
love
Like
this
between
line
the
from
two.
him. No one gets it right all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, that's something we should all like tell ourselves when we're not doing well.
That and this episode gives that advice in another way also, which is uh, when Hugh's like, the outcome is not so ideal as far as Borg the Borg conversion therapy. Jean-Luc says, no, 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 you're don't you're doing real good. Like you're doing good here. Like don't like try to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I like that.
Well, that was a lesson from the previous episode, also
Mm-hmm.
or no, 2 episodes ago, of not
Yeah.
letting don't let the good become the enemy Don't let the perfect become the enemy of
become
the
the enemy of
good,
the
or
good.
whichever
Yeah,
way it goes.
yeah, it was that way. Here we find out that mom is not real. Well, we we suspected it, but
Yeah,
there
from
she goes. She
the
glitches.
first episode kind of makes
Yeah,
that clear when we see what's
yeah.
going on with Dodge. But yeah, this is like how the synth control from their synth world, I guess, does like disk defragmentation on Soji and Dodge's
That's a really.
brains.
I like the way you put that. That's exactly how they describe it. That's funny. Defrag. Do you remember defragging a computer? That was
Yeah.
like that was a crazy thing. I forgot. I forgot about defragmentation. Took hours, and I used to watch the little squares light up as it was defragging the disk. Different color squares.
Oh, they incorporate a bunch of first contact footage into these little flashes of Borg imagery.
Yeah, that's good
Kudos
that that
to
footage is
Jonathan
still.
Frakes, director
Yeah,
Jonathan Frakes.
yeah. It's cool that that footage is still usable too.
Yeah, it
So
holds
here
up.
he's telling Elnor, "Look, you can't come with me. Just stay behind." And Elnor looks really pissed about it. Like, I like that. He's like, just walks off. Look at this place. I feel like I want to appreciate. I think it. I don't know if it exists in Star Trek Online if they've created this environment or not. But it seems really cool. There's like these mines all around it. It looks like a high a high security, high high sort of like a attention zone. Like it's pretty cool. And I like the music. Jeff Russo does this like heartbeat type of rhythm, which makes you feel tense, more tense, I think. What would you
The Borg cube interior here looks very different from any past version of the Borg cube, doesn't it? It's like everything is more sleek,
mhm.
and I guess it kind of feels more advanced. I mean, the Borg are always supposed to be adapting. They should look different, every decade or two. They should look pretty
Yeah.
different. But on, say, like Voyager, for example, where we saw a lot of Borg interiors, everything was very like asymmetrical and busy and almost had, like a junky quality to it. And
Yeah,
here
like put
it seems
together
like
like kit bashing.
more
But
structured. Yeah.
but remember this room, like this is the Romulans built all the rooms that look like this cuz like
But no,
yeah.
that's not true because we see the Queen's room, which the Romulans didn't even know about.
Right, but it's different than this. Like see how this room is like it has like the carpet walls and like
Well, I
the
don't. My computer is buffering, so
Oh, okay, okay,
I just see
sorry.
a frozen
What
Picard and Elnor standing on the Lost Arena is the only thing
I
I've
love
seen
that
for
you
the
knew
last
from
couple of
memory where we're
minutes.
at though. That's pretty rad. So okay, so like Soji's quarters and like the room the walking room or whatever
But
later.
doesn't that stuff? Don't you think that stuff has a very similar design aesthetic to the like when we see Picard?
Oh, we lost you, Father. You're buffered. Okay, so I'll keep everyone entertained while you're gone. I think Father was gonna go into describing more of the aesthetic from First Contact or something like that. But yeah, here Father. Just so you know, we're in case you're listening still, and everyone else, we're at 29 minutes 34 seconds. Picard just beamed aboard the cube, and this is what Father was talking about. He was talking about how like this is like a sleeker Borg than we've ever seen. Also, they incorporate this like transformer effect or transformation effect, which I really like, showing that the Borg cube can reconfigure itself as need be, which is pretty cool. Yeah, Jill, I see you're saying there that Picard's hand was shaking as he was getting near the cube. I think that's all acting. I feel like that's all Sir Patrick Stewart, because you can see his hands are pretty steady most of the time. So I think he was just performing that. There's not like a natural tick, but there could be. We get these things as we get older, so there could be natural things that Sir Patrick has that also come in through his performances. I love this like Tronified looking Borg thing. Like these are supposedly these are all cubicles that have been like neutralized in some way, so they're like white instead of green. And so all these Borg are in a kind of like stasis or a holding pattern, and I feel like visually it suggests that without us knowing it. I don't know what's really going on, but that's what I got from that. And here we go. We find out that they were actually trying to help him not to fall. And the X-Borg looks so gruesome. I love the makeup effects. Neville Page did the makeup for this, and he did a really great job of he goes. There's an interview that oh, I love this part. Here we go. I love that he's like, I have no idea why you're here, but I'll help you in any way I can. It's very cool. Oh, I'll take a friendly face. It's my favorite line. Yeah, this is like the conclusion of the Picard trauma arc from the Borg experience. I'm so sorry we lost Father. I'm not sure what happened. He may have lost power. Um, they're having inclement weather and stuff like that out there. So um, I love Hughes kind of catching up Jean Luc as to what's been going on, and I really love that the last time I love their relationship because Picard actually like if you remember in I Borg, he let Hugh go back to the Borg. Hugh made the decision to go back to the Borg, but Picard supported it, and so there was a real danger that Hugh would forget his individuality, and of course he didn't. Thank goodness. And interestingly, it ties into this as well. Father was talking about how like the writers really pay attention to canon, but when Hugh and some other Borg started to like embrace individuality, the Borg actually cut them off from the collective, just like this cube was cut off from the collective for malfunctioning as well. Some catastrophic thing happened, and the Borg were like, "Nope, sorry, we're cutting you off." Hey, stress free K. I like that Hugh's able to figure out what's going on. That he noticed all these things like Narek. This he noticed Narek's a spy and is very transparent to Hugh. Like he's been paying attention. I like that. And that was something that was also established in Iborg is like how Hugh had like an extraordinary pattern recognition ability because of his implant. And we know from like what we've seen of the X Borgs like Seven of Nine is that Borgs retain a lot of their enhancements depending on what parts they can't live without. So they'll retain like an advanced understanding of science and physics and math and things like that. And so they're just very clever. They are enhanced individuals, so they have that going for them in many cases. And so you see Hugh's deduction abilities, and I really like that a lot. This is so sad. I like didn't you know when it was going on and it was like episode to episode and we didn't know the conclusion. This was heartbreaking for me because I really thought that Narek genuinely cared for Soji, and I think he does. I think he does, but his own programming or brainwashing by the Jat Vash and his wicked sister, his wicked incestuous sister, abusive sister, I think for me portrays him a little bit as a tragic kind of character as well. Yes, stress free K. I agree that Narek is. I think I find him very fetching. I was surprised to to see that in my the majority of Trekkies were as I remember it, were not feeling Narek, and it might have something to do with the fact that he is not like the nicest character. What he's doing to Soji is absolutely horrible, and so you know that does influence that feeling. This is great. This scene here, it's like Picard not realizing that you could even undo assimilation. Like he had kind of given up on that. Like it shows that you know he had stopped resisting in a way. So he was letting resistance become futile. This is nice that you could see like there were previous XBs that had like worse scars, and maybe as the technology gets better, you can make the scars less. I love this. The actor, kudos to this actor. Like they're crying and conveying so much emotion through this like horrific makeup. It's really touching. There's a lot of things that this reminds me of. Like, there's unfortunately in our world today, especially it's the abuse is focused on women, but women and trans people in particular in a lot of parts of the world are subject to scarring and abuse. Um, because they won't assimilate to the views of a society that's oppressive. And yeah, and so this kind of like, for me, I read a lot of that tragedy, and it like led me to think about those things that are going on in our real world that we haven't been able to stop. So good little message here. And a lot of people see those people as like, it's hard to look at someone who's scarred beyond recognition, or like scarred in a horrific way. And for those of us who are privileged, we don't get to like, who don't suffer in this way, we don't get to um we have to really like think about like what someone's going through. So I don't know, maybe I'm getting a little too deep here. We need Fatheree to come back and rescue me. Yeah, it's true. Stress free K, people will throw acid on trans folk, and women. It's really bad. Oh, Jill, I noted that line too. Our new queen is a Romulan. Who is the queen? I think he's just being like he's like wink wink at Jean-Luc, like, but like suggesting like, hey, like this is who you should be focused on as the enemy. And maybe, I don't know, like maybe I'm reading too much into this, but maybe he found in his research that Commodore O is the person behind this, and so like he didn't really tell Jean-Luc yet, his suspicions, but he was like hinting at it. So here's the point where Narek is leading Soji to this like Romulans only room where they perform the Jalmag ceremony, which is like a kind of meditative, like revelatory ceremony, almost like how I guess maybe a walkabout, or like some kind of spiritual, meditative thing, breakthrough. Uh, but there's like all these like rules around it, and this is so compelling for Soji because she's very intrigued by Romulans and Romulan culture. Like we know she's trying to help the Romulan ex-Borg um to cope with their trauma by creating like a narrative framework and stuff like that. So it's really nice how it comes together. And also for us as an audience, at least for me, I'm very interested in Romulans. I know Fatheree also was saying he was like happy about how Picard expands the Romulan story, the world of Romulans, and so we get a lot of that here. Like Narek and Narissa or not, the things that they're presenting are pretty. Yay, Father! I've been babbling on incoherently here, although there's still folks in the audience, so maybe I'm not doing a bad job. but yeah, it's really cool. Like I love these details like that we get about the Romulans and their culture. I actually wanted to like I sometimes like to role play. I do get to actually role play as a Romulan, so I'm very excited about that. Hey Fatheree, welcome back.
Yo, we've been having a lot of internet outages in the Austin area after the winter storm the last few days, so I'd been pretty lucky with it until now. So sorry about
Right
that.
on. Well, I'm glad you made it back. You just got here in time. Do you need a timestamp?
Yes.
So we're at 41 minutes, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. So let me know when you need another fine tuner if you need one.
Okay. So let me click on. Let's try 4225 and see how this aligns.
42, 25, 26, 27, 28. No, sorry, 41. I'm at 41, 29.
I'm like
Sorry.
a full minute in front of you.
Okay, so go back just or pause and I'll tell me where
Okay,
to
tell me
like
tell me when you're on 4235.
Okay. So right now, just so you know, Soji's walking the Jalmak ritual. 42:25 you said, right?
35.
35. Okay, we're almost at 42. Mm-mm-mm. Who is Soji's father in the dream? He's fabricated, just like her mother
He's
is.
like an imaginary father because Data's her real father.
Yeah.
It
And
would be cool
Maddox in a
if
way.
they had like a young Brent Spiner creation and then blurred the face there, but
That would have been he did dress he was dressed like a like Noonien, right? Like a little bit
yeah,
like
like
that.
I
Yeah.
could believe Nooney and
Yeah.
Soong were in that get up.
So we're at 42, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Get ready. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35.
Okay, we're
All
back
right.
synced up.
So she's walking. I'm sweating.
The Clum wealth. The Romulan words. It's very they developed a very distinct Romulan language.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to describe, but I know it when I hear it, if it sounds Romulan or not. This is the very abstract and dreamlike. A lot of times in fiction, dreams are too realistic. They're like too normal. Dreams are actually like really weird, really crazy.
I like the Narek's technique, which to me wasn't apparent. Like this didn't come to me until like I've watched it a few times, but I like how he's like trying to get her to go into a dream state because she doesn't know any of these things consciously. But he's like when
It's
he
very
says
very Freudian, very like
yeah,
subconscious
but
stuff.
like to me, it's like he at the very end during the most intense part when she's fully in it, he says, "Look up through the skylight." Now there may not have been a skylight there, but his suggestion
Oh,
is
he
what
like
makes it.
influenced it.
Yeah, his suggestion is what makes
Ah,
it become
yeah.
that, and then she sees the two. Yeah, he's like, "What do you see? What do you see?" Like hoping that she would see the
Look,
sky
these are like
itself.
actual like
Yeah,
Tal Shiar techniques for
techniques. Yeah,
extracting information.
so genius,
How
right? Like,
Romulan is that? Someone who like
it's
doesn't even know they're being interrogated is being
right. Is being
interrogated. It's
interrogated.
like it's
And,
like a cloaked interrogation. That
yeah.
is the most Romulan thing ever. Yes. Yeah, I love that. I love that we got that in Star Trek Picard season 1.
Yeah, super cool moment, and
It's probably the best contribution to, other than like bringing back the late 24th century, the fleshing out of Romulan culture is the greatest contribution of Star Trek Picard season 1.
yeah, right on. So this is what I was talking about. Her room, it's like something like the Romulans built like these like pagodas inside the Borg
Okay,
cube.
but
But I know what
I'm
you were
about, like,
talking
the
about.
rest of the
Yeah,
architecture is
I addressed it while you were offline. I was like, yeah, the whole Borg cube and how it transforms now and stuff. Like all that stuff is a cool like showing a progression of
yeah.
Borg technology, which I love. Yeah, I get what you're saying 100%. They're so like I love all this. To me, this was so tense when I was first watching it because you're like, is he gonna get to her on time? What's gonna
Yeah,
happen?
because that was
Like,
the
it's like
that was the big question these early episodes. Picard is on a quest to get to Soji, and then the from episode 2 until what is this, episode 6? Episodes 2 through 6, they're all like cutting back and forth between Picard on his adventures to get to Soji and then Soji on the Borg cube. And
Right.
Picard got closer to her and closer to her every episode, and then here, yeah, you finally have like that build up to the moment. Like, are they going to meet? And then when they do,
That's
it's a
really
perfect
freaky to me.
example of why I avoid
Like,
spoilers because I need to be like on the edge of my seat watching this. And
yeah.
you only can get that experience the first time you watch it.
Stress free K says I almost saw Soji as a cake. Me too. That's what I thought of. It's like
Troy is the cake
Troy is the cake.
when
Yeah,
Data was
there's
having dreams.
like, but she's Pinocchio, which is a great reference to Data
To Data,
again.
yeah.
Yeah, so which is pretty cool. She's like a little
She's the
wooden
wooden
girl.
puppet.
Yeah.
How evil does Narissa look in the
I know.
background listening
And
in?
she just
She's
got
like
her
this, like,
yeah, she's like she got her information and she's like, I'm gone. I'm finding
Yeah.
this flesh. She's like deuces.
she just looks like this like dark elf, sinister creature.
Yeah.
I like the imagery.
As villains, I think this is where they are at their height, the two of them. Well, maybe Narissa gets a little more later on with
I like Narissa, but yeah, like when we
yeah.
see like more of Narissa's nuance and her Aunt Rhonda and all of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, they have more substance to her character.
Yeah.
A little bit of dimensionality. I wouldn't say that she's a 3-dimensional character, but she's at least a 2-dimensional character.
Yeah. 2.5 for me.
And then Narek, that shot of him crying where
Yeah.
Soji can't see, that's so important because that tells the audience, like, this is just between the character and the audience. No one else can
Yeah.
see this. Like, we know, like, oh, he actually did. It wasn't just trickery.
That
He
was
did have
painful,
some
yeah.
legitimate feelings, and this was actually
Yeah.
super hard for him.
This
And,
is
yeah,
great.
that's
This is
that's
the
a callback
reference-
to Nemesis, right? When they had
Nemesis, yeah.
the what is it, Thaleron?
the
Thaleron radiation
and
weapon?
the fact that they like I love that their MO is radiation in general. Like it's cool.
Or that
This is-
Romulans have like little like concealable radiation weapons that they can carry
yeah.
around. But of course, this is going to activate her self-defense mode, and she goes into super robot girl mode, like we saw with Dodge.
This is glorious. Like I mean, the strength she's like when she like because you're like, oh yeah, it's easy to forget that this is like a assumed type android, and they're strong as fuck. Like,
I mean,
it's like-
she's not. She's indistinguishable from
a human,
a
but-
natural human.
Yeah, but underneath,
yeah, they are
yeah.
enhanced strength.
Yeah,
I think maybe like Khan might be a more apt comparison. But
interesting. Yeah, it's true.
he is the engineered human.
So a Noonien Singh type.
A Noonien Sung crossover.
Yeah, Cake, that's really impactful when he's like, "You were never real." Ugh, heartbreaking. But that's how he had to do it.
Lacutus? Could I have your autograph?
Yeah, I know. It's totally like that kind of moment.
Yeah.
But that harkens back to
Here it
Ivor
is.
too. Like the first time Hugh saw, yeah, this is great. They're here. Here they are. They're meeting. I love this. Soji, who are you? Do you know me?
I like Picard's like awkwardness in trying to explain this.
Right.
He does a good job. He gets his point across pretty quickly. It's very well written, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It felt both natural and efficient and made sense for the characters. And maintained the high octane energy of this actiony bit here.
I love this, like, the please trust me. And then she's like, all right, well, it's him
Yeah,
or the
then
Romulans.
her hesitation, we see the thought process behind her eyes. It's like, well, I don't have any better option, so going
And
with
she-
old Baldy.
And I think she probably also has a little bit of that Dodge memory of him, like like the data memory, I should say.
Oh, that could be
of
like,
him,
yeah,
so it's
subconsciously in there.
Subconsciously.
Yeah, because Dodge knew to trust Picard also.
This is part of like the newer Borg stuff, like that.
Yeah.
Like I like that the
Like
doors go down
There's
instead of
this
up.
secret
too.
room the Romulans didn't
Yeah.
even know about.
Yeah.
The Queen Cell.
I also like the
If
addition
you're
of
XB, you'd know it when you see it.
I like the holography. The addition of holography in Borg technology is pretty cool. Like how he knows where to touch because he knows, and like a hologram appears there showing like that some kind of interactions occurred. Yeah, I was digging the new Borg. This is gorgeous to me. Like the Queen's chamber and all that stuff, and Also, I didn't fall through sleep through that episode of Voyager where the Sicarians, like, I love that
Hmm.
they assimilated the freaking Sicarians.
Well, some of them at least. I
Yeah, at
think
least, yeah,
they
it's
might
true.
have, a
They
few of
might
them might
not,
have survived, but
yeah, like Guinan's people. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I can't remember it because Voyager has incredibly forgettable episode titles. But that's a good episode, and
Yeah,
I'm kind of rough on early Voyager. I think the show struggles a little bit early on, but there's some real gems in those first couple of seasons, and that's one of them.
totally. For those of y'all who need a timestamp, we're at the end of the episode. We're at 51 minutes, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And we get some
So
more
yeah,
Elnor action.
yep.
I love
Where's the
Elnor getting to
kid?
cut
Yeah, it's
loose.
true.
I hope we get some of this in season 3.
I
I'm
hope
very
so
worried about
too.
Elnor. I mean,
Yeah,
season 2, season 2. I hope we
season
get some in
2.
Picard season 2. I'm
This is
very worried about
glorious.
Elnor because I think we see him die in the
I
trailers.
know, I know, no, no, no. That's they put that there for a reason. Hey, Ruben, nice to see you. I like that he's like, I didn't listen. And Picard's like, okay, fine. I agree. You did good, kid. This is cool. Soji's starting to like embrace her androidness.
That she just learned about
Yeah.
5 minutes ago.
She's like, well, on top of
I
that, all
declined
this
to be
other weird,
released.
this weird stuff. Yeah, I declined to be released. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Edge of the seat, edge of the seat. I love
Elnor doing
that.
the heroic last stand.
Yep. And in my head canon, it's also because he fell in love with Hugh and he wants to stay by and protect him. But that's not on screen.
They really need to give the gay community more like on-screen confirmed gay characters because I can tell there's such like a desperation to make more gay characters. Like they need to give those to you.
Don't judge the world by me, Father. I'm a
No, you're not the
weirdo.
only one.
Okay, okay.
But how cool is this ending?
Yeah, this is so good. Yeah.
The cut to black, the please my friend, choose to live.
Choose to
I love
live.
that.
So
I was
good.
such on
It's
the
so
edge of my
good.
seat. Yeah, the first time that aired, and then like, oh, what's happening next week? What's happening in episode 7? Well, we'll find out. You know, where did Picard go, and where he go? You know, you kind of set up something that you really need to deliver on. You really need something really satisfying to answer the end of this episode, and they totally give that to us next week in episode 7, Nepenthe.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so excited. So next week we're doing a double feature, guys. We're gonna do Nepenthe, and what's the one that comes after?
Um,
Oh my gosh.
not the Impossible Box.
No, that's this one. Here, I can tell you right now. Hold on. We're on Paramount Plus. Go to menu and then hold on, menu.
Wait, wait,
and
wait.
then
Let me see if I
search
can
it.
remember it. Let me see if I can get it off
Okay,
memory.
don't. Let's see if Father can remember. I know it already. Don't say it in the audience. I know the audience knows. Don't say it. Don't say it. Let's see if Father can. So what comes after Nepenthe?
It's not a et Incardia Ego is the end. It's
right.
like,
So that's part 1 and part 2.
it's something
We'll do
kind of
those.
like it's not like Impossible Box. It's like Broken Box. It's something like that.
I'll give it to you. Broken Pieces.
Broken
Good job.
Pieces. Okay.
So next week we're gonna do those two, and then the following week we're gonna do right. Yeah.
Yeah. So next week is a double header. We're gonna do Nepenthe and Broken
Broken
Pieces,
Pieces.
and that's
and
gonna
then-
start at 3 Eastern, 2 or no 2 Eastern,
2
1
Eastern. Yeah, we're gonna start earlier.
Central. And that's the normal time is 2 Eastern, 1 Central.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
right?
Sorry.
Unless you want to start early next week.
No, it's
But-
fine. It's all good.
But then the last week, 2 weeks from today, we're going to do a double header of Et Incardia Ego parts 1 and 2, and that'll start an hour early.
Exactly.
But next week is normal time, and it'll just be 2 episodes.
Yep. Yep. Audience, thanks so much for being in the chats with us. Lots of fun comments, and I'm glad you guys came with us. Thank you, Fatheree, for joining us. I'm glad you were able to make it back with your internet.
I had to go to the Queen's cell and take the portal to come back with the Sicarian technology.
Everyone go subscribe to Text Trek on YouTube, but also check out the podcast on however you get your podcasts. I think you guys are on pretty much every major platform. And that usually drops the following Monday. So tomorrow we'll have a drop of that. This week on Starfleet Boy on Thursday, we're going to cover the return of Star Trek Discovery after its little break, its little hiatus. And then on Friday, you can go over to Tech Trek to get a great, like, fun analysis of the same episode. And then we'll do more Starfleet Boy After Dark fun on Friday as well. And then just a quick announcements for those of you who are doing our TOS discussions. This Saturday, there will not be a TOS discussion.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot I had an engagement, a family engagement, so I have to attend to that. So I'm sorry about that. But I was reminded. My mom watches the show, and she's like, "You said there's an episode next week, and you had to
But
do
there will be one the week after that, right? But
Yes.
then not the week after that.
Correct, exactly. So yeah, we're gonna
So-
be a little fluctuating.
It's going to be
Yeah, it's
a
gonna be
bi-weekly
fluctuating.
show for a little
For a little bit,
temporarily.
yeah.
Just
Yeah,
temporarily.
temporarily,
Don't
it's
worry.
true.
It'll return to its weekly glory, I'm sure.
If
The next
you're-
one's a good one. It's the Thulian Web. It's a fun one to talk about.
Yeah, totally.
Actually, I don't think that's a great episode, but there's great stuff in it.
Yeah, there is a lot of great stuff. I'm excited about it. The Tholians are just awesome. I can't wait till they come back to Star Trek, actually, now that you mention it. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you so much, everyone. Live long and prosper, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.